Once the playoffs come, they will coast through the Eastern Conference playoffs in 15 games or less. And I still stand by that right now. A few things. I think their slow start is going to prolong a little bit more because you have now the three best ISO scorers in the league. I think we could all agree on the three best ISO scorers are Harden, Durant, Irving. All of them. What they can do with the ball in their hands going one-on-one, they are virtually all unguardable. I think it's just going to be a chemistry experiment, which will be the biggest thing with this. Sure, it may make time to gel and figure this out. I think a guy like Harden is going to have to take his points per game down that he had in Houston. About 10 points per game less. I think he's got to average between the 26, 27 range instead of that 34, 36, which we've seen the past 2 years. I think his shot quality needs to increase, but his shot quantity needs to decrease. His shot quality needs to increase. His shot quantity needs to decrease. That's what I think Harden's role. I think he's going to have to play more of that point guard role, have the ball in his hands, playmake for his other guys, because out of the three, he's definitely the best playmaker. Kyrie's just going to have to be used as a weapon. Sure, everyone's making a big deal that he's been missing in action. No idea why. In the words of Aaron Rodgers, my favorite quote, it's my new favorite quote now. Once upon a time, he said, RELAX. Relax. It's going to be okay. We've seen too many championship caliber teams start this slow. And everyone in the media and all the fans on social media will react. I am old enough and I've been following this league long enough to overreact to teams with slow starts. We've seen the big three Miami Heatles do it when they got together. We've seen the Cavs when LeBron first got back there. And then we saw when Kyrie left LeBron. I remember in the month of January, LeBron had the lowest box score plus minus in his entire career. The Cavs did not play any defense. They hated each other. People said on national television the Cavs should have traded LeBron right there, which is just one of the most outlandish things. And people were questioning if they would even make the playoffs. They ended up going to the finals. The Nets have so much talent. Sure, this is not 2K where you could just stack up your best teams and it's just going to work because you have great players on your team. I understand that it's about chemistry. It's about gelling. It's knowing how to learn to play together. Sure, that's going to be a big factor, figuring it out towards the postseason. But you got to look at this as when you have that much talent, talent is just going to override other teams in the sport of basketball. When you're just superior to other teams, you are going to beat them. I've been saying all year long, and sure, I forget who talked about the depth, which I totally agree, which is why I was so high in the Nets. Dinwiddie, a true point guard. He averaged 20 and 6 last year. Caris LeVert gave you 18 points a game last year. Jarrett Allen, great rim protector. Sure, totally agree with that. With Harden, Irving, and Durant all on one team, they will figure it out eventually. Just talent overrides other talent, period, point blank. This is the sport of basketball we're talking about. I've been asking a lot of people, name me one team in the East that is going to beat them or push them 6 games. Literally 6 games. It's not happening. There's nobody in the East who could really compete with them. And I dare someone to make an argument with me. Someone make an argument why a team could beat the Brooklyn Nets. Because I'm telling you right now, it's not happening unless injury. The floor is yours.
This guy said that they won't even get pushed 6 games, he said. The Brooklyn Nets will get pushed 6 games. That's assuming Kyrie's around come that time in the first place. That's a huge assumption on its own. But after the 3, can we discuss Brooklyn after their top 3? Can we talk about the team? DeAndre Jordan, Jeff Green?
Joe
Harris?
See, Joe Harris is a sniper. DeAndre Jordan is still a solid rim protector. Jeff Green, sure, he's not the Caris LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie. I believe Jeff Green's a nice piece. The Nets are, sure, they're a top-heavy team. How many top-heavy teams do we see win the title? Sure, are they the Golden State Warriors? No, they're not. Look at the 2016 Cavs, super top-heavy. It's LeBron, Kyrie, and a bunch of cadavers. Yes, I'm not including Kevin Love because Kevin Love is extremely overrated. We could talk about it another day.
Cadavers?
100%. We've seen the Miami Heatles with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. They weren't a deep team. Sure, they had some sharpshooters who, with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, were able to create them good looks. So
you got to look at it like this. As far as basketball goes, NBA goes, it's all about team chemistry. The reason why the Warriors won when Durant went there is because he bought into what they were already doing. Steph and Clay are snipers. Then they have everybody else helping out. Draymond Green is playing point forward, basically. The Nets have 3 players that play the same way. So you're just automatically saying that they're going to go to the finals and go 7 with the Lakers? They will not go 7 with the Lakers.
Wrong. They don't play all the same way. Durant has proven he could play off the ball. He can move without the ball. Sure, he could ISO score better than almost anybody in the league. One of the best pure scorers in NBA history. Sure,
Exactly.
I would not compare all their games the same. Sure, there's some similarities in it because they're such great ISO scorers. Kyrie, the best ball handler we've ever seen in our lifetime. Sure, he's a great ISO scorer. Shoot from three-point range. Pull up on the dime from mid-range. Finish under the rim better than anybody. He's not a great playmaker either. He's pretty much just a scorer. Kyrie's going to have to take a backseat a little bit, and so is Harden. I believe this is still Durant's team. He's got to be the best player. He should be the leading scorer, taking the most shots. I believe Kyrie's just going to have to be Kyrie's going to have to be the third option on this.
Kyrie Irving is not going to want to take a back seat. You know, I saw him in Cleveland. He had a problem taking a back seat in Cleveland, which is why he requested a trade. Kyrie Irving is not going to want to take a back seat.
Why is he with Durant then? Why, if he didn't want to take a back seat, then why is he with Durant?
Because he sees himself as Durant's equal. He sees himself as these guys' equal. He is not taking a back seat, so they're just going to have to figure it out. And I don't know if they're going to be able to figure it out.
So do you think Kyrie plays?
As long as he tests negative, he's coming back.
Yeah, he's coming back.
You have
messed around with his bag. They messed around with his bag, right? When they find him the money, then he's like, I got to come back now. But yeah, that like Rob made a great point, man. You got to buy in. And at the end of the day, he left Cleveland because he didn't want to be second to LeBron. He left. It didn't work out in Boston because he couldn't fathom the fact that his young buck from Duke is his equal. If not, the guy that you should at least start going more to. And Jaylen Brown was an afterthought for Kyrie. You know what I mean? And guys like Marcus Smart, they're not going to take crap from a guy like Kyrie. So that didn't work out. So he goes to Brooklyn, and like Rob said, he thinks he's his equal. He went on live. He said, in my past life, I was you. KD's like, what are you talking about? In what life were you me? Absolutely not. And then what happens? Kyrie disappears for 6 games. Then he comes back. Oh, and then there's reports. I was going to ask you. The reports that are coming out that are saying Kyrie was unhappy with the way that they went about hiring the head coach. He wasn't on board with Steve Nash, and he was not on board with them bringing in Harden. So what does that mean for the team, man?
I think it's all overhyped. It's a storyline. They're going to figure it out. We've just seen this too many times with teams who struggle early. They have quote-unquote chemistry issues, and they figure it out later in the year. When you just have that much talent, like they are so talented. I believe in talent. I believe Harden's going to figure it out. Again, if they finish with the 4 or 5 seed in the Eastern Conference, I will not be surprised. I will have my same take of how fast they will get to the finals. They're doing that as long as they are healthy. They're too talented. This whole season is going to be Steve Nash figuring out how to deal with these stars, which Durant definitely was a huge part of that signing. And Durant and Kyrie are boys. So do I believe that Kyrie had nothing to do with Steve Nash hiring? Not really. I kind of almost think it's a little bit of a storyline if you're going to ask me. They're going to figure it out. You have all the talent in the world on that team, and there is no reason why to doubt this Brooklyn Nets team because there's nobody in the East who could even compete with them.
I got Philly.
Really? You're going to tell me with a straight face that the Philadelphia 76ers...
Doc Rivers, Philly is a different team, and size, they don't even come close. It's not
Doc
even
Rivers
close.
is terrible.
Nah,
he's blown 3-1 leads. Even if they're winning in the series,
he's blown 3-1 leads, sure, but he's statistically doing much better with this team. This year, they look like a different group. Yeah, they haven't had a lot of players in the last week. They're deep. They have size. And I'm just saying, for you guys to completely dismiss teams like Philly, teams like Milwaukee, teams like Indiana who just stocked up, and you're going to say, oh, Brooklyn's got it all. Why? At least these teams are fluid right now. At least they're playing as a unit right now. Everyone's bought in. Brooklyn has way more to overcome before they can even get to that level. And you guys are going to tell me, oh, by the time the playoffs come in a shortened season, that they're going to just have it all figured out? And you don't think by the end of the year, Kyrie's going to get quarantined at least 2 more times? Miss like 5-6 more games? Come on, guys.
That's got to be one of the worst takes I've heard on this. Hold on. You can tell you don't even believe that. You're just trying to say it to not be vanilla. You do not believe that the Milwaukee Bucks, if you want to try to make an argument the Bucks will beat the Nets, I'll debunk that.
Can you tell me about James Harden's playoff performances in the past 5 years?
He's had flukes in the playoffs, sure, and he's also played very well in the playoffs. You want to talk about Giannis Antentokoumpo's playoffs? I can do that real quick. quick if you need me to. You want me to? Let me take you down memory lane, because if people remember when the season got suspended in March, it actually came back in the summer. Maybe I watched my games on Roku. Maybe if you watch on cable versus Roku, my TV may have showed me something different. But I can tell you what my TV showed me. So my TV showed me Game 1 against the number 5 seed Miami Heat. The Bucks were up 96-95 with about 6 minutes remaining. The back-to-back MVP goes 0 for 1 with 1 point the rest of the game, and they lose. They go down 1-0. What about Game 2? A time that you could turn the series around, right? They play catch-up all game long. The fourth quarter comes. You have a 4 to 5 minute stretch where the Bucks as a team do not score a single point. Again, this is under the back-to-back MVP's watch. 2-0. Okay, you have one last hurrah to turn this series around. Game 3, up 87-75 going into the fourth quarter. Looks like the Bucks have full control of that game. What happens? The Bucks get outscored 40-13. Giannis has 4 fourth quarter points. He had a box score plus minus of that game of -25. And that guy, you're going to tell me, is going to figure it out in the postseason when he is he is more of a liability than an asset in the half court in second half of playoff games. That is a fact. That is not my opinion. There's factual evidence to back that up. He wants to, when teams know how to game plan and build a wall, he gives you nothing. He can't shoot. He can't drive when there's building a wall. He can't play make. He can't go in the post. He gives you nothing. And your second best option is Chris Middleton, who again, he's proven that he's not a very clutch player.
I never once said Milwaukee's making the finals, guys. All I'm saying is it's not a shoo-in for Brooklyn. When
yes, it is. Yes, it is. Nobody can beat them. Nobody has, besides injury or COVID tests on their side, there's no team that's actually beating them.
I got Miami right there at the end.
Not enough star power there.
Give me one logical reason how the Sixers will beat the Nets in the 7-game series.
Because I believe that the Sixers. I don't think that they'll beat them, but to say that they can't compete is just blasphemy. Because Tobias Harris played his last amazing season, the one he got paid, under Doc Rivers. Look at his numbers this season. He's back to being productive. Joel Embiid is playing out of his mind. Ben Simmons is playing well, and they have depth. Seth Curry is having a career season. Shake Milton is having a career season. These guys have played together. There's chemistry. They can compete. So for you to come tell me all these teams are nothing, Brooklyn is not ahead above anybody, and we will come back. We will come back here when Brooklyn's out in the second round this season, and we're gonna have this time.
All right. First of all, wake me up when the Nets lose. I'll be having a really long nap. Let's talk about the Sixers in context, because that argument was awful. Joel Embiid, tons of tummy aches. He could have a tummy ache come the postseason, and then what? He may have to take off like he did a couple years ago. That's number one. What superstars need to play about 42 to 45 minutes a game in a postseason to win a playoff series against top teams, which we know Embiid will certainly not do that, who has a history of injuries. Ben Simmons, great player, sure. Another guy who's not very good in the backcourt, in the half court, excuse me. What is he going to do in terms of crunch time? He's a liability at the free throw line. Sure. Hold on. First of all, those superstars can't be guarded. Could he contain them throughout a game? Maybe. In the fourth quarter, the superstars are going to get theirs. Kyrie's going to get his. Durant is going to get his. Unguardable. Harden, again, they're going to get theirs. Kyrie and Durant are two guys, proven closers, could hit the clutch shot in the big moment. There's no way you could actually believe that the Sixers. Because Ben Simmons, sure, he does everything without a jump shot, but that jump shot's really critical, especially that he can't get it done at the free throw line, which we know important free throws are in late in games. That's first of all. Tobias Harris, could you explain to me what he did last year in the playoffs? I'll wait.
I never said last year. I said the last year he played under Doc Rivers.
It's about the Clippers,
his best season. And then he got paid, and now he's playing under Doc Rivers, and again, back to being productive. I acknowledge he wasn't great last year. All I'm trying to tell you is every team has things to overcome, just as much as Brooklyn has things to overcome. It's not a shoo-in. You're acting like these teams are just because there's 3 big-name guys that they're just going to get in there, and everything's going to work out great overnight. It's not going to happen that way.
They'll figure it out before the regular season ends. They will figure it out. It may take a little bit of time, but they will figure it out. And then talent overrides talent. Like, they're just simply more talented than other teams. I was high on the Nets before they got Harden. I'm still just keeping the same energy.
They have the best problem to figure out how 3 super talented top 10 players can play together. And it's a 3-year experiment. They got 3 years to figure it out. If they win 1 chip after 3 years, that's a successful trade for them. They've never won in their franchise history. So who cares what they give up? Who cares who hasn't performed well? You can't take every situation from other teams, from other situations, and bring them to the current situation. Sure, Tobias Harris played well under Doc Rivers on the Clippers when he was pretty much the number 1 guy. He's not the number 1 guy on the Sixers.
But he's played well.
James Harden has had struggles. We know that already. He's going to actually be used less. His usage rate compared to Houston is going to be probably much less than it would be on the Nets. Does he have weight to lose? 100%. That's fine. You can do that throughout the course of the season. But he's also proven that he can drop 40 with you while eating lunch, dinner, and breakfast, lunch, dinner, all in the same meal.